Hello and welcome, BitMonger family. Monger coming at you. Hope you guys are all doing well. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about Bitcoin, what I'm seeing, how I'm playing it, and I'm also going to talk about what kind of trader you should be. You should be wearing two caps. One is the investor cap, which is looking for deep value and spot play, and the second is the trader cap, and that is, looking to make profits. And if you can pick a bottom, well, then that's great if you're in a levered position and you can ride it up. But that can be hard to do, generally speaking, as a levered trader, generally looking just to take profits. You can let them run to a certain level, but I think there's a different mindset. At least that's the case with me. As a levered trader, I'm usually looking to a shorter time frame, whereas a spot investor, I'm looking for deep value in something that I have conviction in and something that will likely go up when we get an uptick back into crypto. And that's looking at really good projects and looking at coins that either have two things. Generally speaking, you want to see that they did well in the previous cycle. If they're an older coin, you want to see that they still had a nice run up. Even though a lot of coins didn't hit their all-time highs, they did have nice run-ups. I think some of those coins are still interesting to look at, because even if they get halfway to where they did last cycle, we're still looking at multiple X's in returns, and the risk reward ratio is something that you need to be looking at. And that's how I'm starting to look at things in these terms, in terms of my spot positions. What's the risk reward? We'll look at that today as well. So let's go ahead and take a look and look at Bitcoin first. So we can see here, this is on the weekly chart, and you can see how I've drawn it out. There's a ton of lines on here. Forgive me on that. This is the Liberation Day dump low right here. And this is where it trended. You can see kind of where I had that blue zone that we were trading at, a couple, when was that? Let me see here. We started trading that like back in December, not that long ago, where it was range bound between 97 and 90K. That was good times, making a lot of money. And then it absolutely dumped. So let's go ahead and look in at the lower time frame now. Let's take a look at the daily. And let me fix this. Okay, so we can see there. It's breaking down. Broke through those levels. It's hitting some critical levels now. And let's take a look at that. Let's move it to actually the 4 hourly now. We can see that the volume, we had some heavy volume here. It started drawing down. I drew this diagonal line here. We'll get into that as we go into the 4 hourly. You'll see a better time frame on that. Let's take a look at that here. Let's fix that. There we go. And we can see, look, on the 4 hourly, a better view of this. And we can see right now in the zone that I've demarked now, because it did have a breakdown. Originally I thought it was going to be, zoning in this, oscillating in this area, but it broke through that, came down, and it actually touched that orange line and wicked a little below it. So this is showing a very, very strong zone right here, and that's at 65.8. If we break down below 65.8, that's looking nasty. We can see where it completely wicked out on the very bottom here at $60,082 on the bottom of this wick here on the big dumpola. So those are areas that we need to be looking at. And Bitcoin is really trying hard to reclaim 69K. Over the weekend, could it get a bid? Maybe. I feel like a lot of people are either in the market now already. I feel like there's not probably a lot of action that's going to happen over the weekend. Crypto natives are either fucking wrecked, or most of them, or they have completely checked out. So I don't think that we're going to see a lot of spot action over the weekend. But you never know. Maybe some crypto whales get involved and they pump it up. We have to see. The fact that it did cross this, very short-term diagonal looks pretty good, but we'll see. For me to get really bullish on it, I would have to see it at least break above this, for me to start getting bullish, and that's at 71,600 roughly. But right now, I think it's looking kind of weak. We can see that the volume's coming down here. The RSI is about 3/4 of the way. May it fucking roll over? I don't know. If I was, betting on this, I would bet that it's probably likely going to go back down and maybe test this line here. But we shall see. But yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. So the coins that I'm looking at that I wanted to talk about and risk reward ratio is Akash. And I'm looking at this one, and it is looking pretty damn juicy, guys. I mean, it's trading at 33 cents. We can see back here when was this? This was last into December. So back at the beginning of 2025, roughly, it was trading at $4.58. We can see here, April 2025, $1.30. Where are we? When was that? So it's been on a steady decline, no doubt about it. But the fact that it got up to these levels, guys, all the way up to, over $5 in 2024, it makes me think that could it come back up and reclaim, $1.78? I think it could, I really do. I think it could get back up to these levels here, easily over $1. I could see it coming back up to these zones. The fact that it had that kind of bump during this last cycle, makes me feel good. And this is a strong project, and it's also fully diluted, guys. That's a big deal. You're not going to be getting dumped on, and that's something that I would be looking at. Now we can see it got all the way down to 16 cents, I think, or something like that. So you're looking at 50% downside, with a potential upside of, at least 300%. So, based on that, I'm looking at it, and it's like, that's a good risk reward ratio. And I like that. So nibble, maybe, I'm looking at possibly nibbling some. I do believe as Bitcoin goes down more, I think that this could be absolutely get cheaper. So I wouldn't be, buying a lot, but does it look like it potentially is undervalued? Yeah, it does, especially for what it does. It's, doing decentralized compute. I talked about it before. It's a solid project. The other one that I think about is interesting is Arweave. And Arweave is also another one that's fully diluted. It's been around, and it's permanent data storage. And we know with all the stuff that they're doing today, with both of these are really like Web3 type of plays, and they're infrastructure plays, which I like. So I think, both of these are interesting to me. This, Arweave got up to let me go to the price here. That's the market cap. It got up to 41, $41 in 2024, man. And it's trading at $2 now. It got up to 22 in November. What was it back here at December 2025? October 2025, it was at $4, a little over 4.20. So, and then it got all the way down to here to $4 in 2023. So, it's looking good. What did it get down here? It was at 49 cents in April 2020. What did it get down to here in the bottom of that crash? It got down to 732. So, we're looking at a pretty good value. Could it get down to these lower levels? It certainly could. Let's take a look at it on this chart here instead. Well, first let's take a look at Akash. So we can see Akash is, not that long ago, guys. I mean, just back here in January, it was trading at 49 cents, man. It's trading at 33 cents now. Is it a good value? Probably. I like it. Let's look at Arweave. And Arweave is taking a dump. It did have a great bounce though from that low. It got all the way down to $1.72. Both of these have really nice bounces off of that bottom. So they're having a strong recovery. I mean, this one was at $1.72. What did Akash get down to on that dirty dump? It got all the way down to 25 cents. So, you know, both of them have had, you know, a strong recovery. I like them. I'm going to be nibbling, and I'm going to be looking to acquire these coins if the bear market gets worse and as things go forward. But I'm monitoring these. I'm probably going to be nibbling if we see Bitcoin run down some more. I think there's a possibility Bitcoin is showing weakness. We'll see if the ETF buyers step in. That's what we really need to see, is the ETF buyers step in. Until the weekday happens and we see what they're doing, it's I feel like it's you know, maybe the whales will do something, but I'm a little cautious about it. I'm still slightly bearish, even though I do think these are good places to nibble. And I did nibble, guys. As you know, I bought some down here when I caught it below 61K. I was lucky I was awake and I bought some spot Bitcoin there. But because, hey, when it's down this much, it's certainly a good time to be acquiring. And, you know, could Bitcoin go lower? It certainly could. You know, it got all the way down to 60K. You know, these are my markers that I had marked out. 52K, is that 52,600 is another zone that I would be looking at if it breaks that 58K 200 week moving average. You know, let's move it back to the weekly on the Bitcoin. So yeah, these are the zones that I had marked out. So down here, what is that? So the very bottom, you know, where it could really get nasty if it actually had the same sort of fall that we had from Bitcoin's fall and from 69K to 15.5K. If we were to get that same sort of fallback, it would come all the way down here to 29K. And then that's pretty well marked out. So, you know, between 29 and 32,000, you know, would be a zone in which it could potentially fall back if that same scenario were to play out. Another one, you can see it really had strong support here for a long time. This is in weeks, and that is at 41,474, you know, call it 41,500, right around there. Another one is where we can see this wick came down and touched it here. It also was, you know, a weekly candle here where it had broken out. This is another area of interest, and that is sitting at 49,157. The next one is this orange line here that I've got here, and that is currently trading at 52,637. So, and we can see it, you know, it ranged here a little bit. It nearly wicked down and touched it here, wicked it here, touched it. So that's another area that I would be looking at for it to come down to. And that's probably, you know, if it breaks the 58K, which is the 200 week moving average, that would be my target. I do have a buy order here at the, like around 58K, you know, where I do plan to buy some more Bitcoin. And if that breaks below it, I would be looking at these two spots right here. So, you know, like I said, 52,600 and 49,157 would be the two zones in which I'd be really focused on to see if it gets down there, which would be, you know, we would have massive fear if that were to happen. But, you know, that's Bitcoin, you know, shit happens. And, that's just the part of being in this game. If you've been in Bitcoin and crypto for a long time, well, then you know this is an extremely volatile asset. And that's part of the reason why we can make huge sums of money if we time things right and we're patient and wait. You can make life-changing money in this. Do not risk more than you can afford to lose, though, guys, and be diversified. Oh, and I almost forgot. Let me show you some of the trades that I've been up to in the past few days. Check it out. So long Bitcoin, 5.5%. Nice little score. Shorted Pippin, 8.2%. long Bitcoin, made 27%. Shorted BTR, made nearly 13%. And then a small long, 2.3.7%. So, not a lot of active trading, but, enough. And it's been good, making money even in this sideways and shitty market is nice. Looking for, like I said, good spot positions though. That's generally where I've made the most money, is buying, fear spot positions, being patient, making money. Anyways, don't have all of your money just in crypto. That's very dangerous. I think I'm going to leave it there. Hope you guys are all doing well. Monger on.